You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
I never know where to come in, How you doing, everybody? Happy New Year. This is us. We are back. Joe Braswell here with Achilles Shine.
Yes, indeed. 2014.
2014, a new year has dawned in the world of nerd culture and tech culture. We do this show called Geek Nerd Tech. It's a show we break down nerd culture and tech news from a black geek perspective.
All day
long. We got a lot to catch up on because we've been off for a minute. Like, we haven't really done a show. God,
in a solid month.
A solid month
for
of
sure.
No shows. And but we're here. So lots happened over the last month. We did get an opportunity to start the year off, as most techies and nerdies do, with the wonderful CES, Consumer Electronics Show, in Las Vegas, which was a gigantic, overwhelmingly amazing experience. There was a lot going on. We were fortunate enough to go with our boss and friend, Maria Menounos, who was the entertainment ambassador of CES. So she had to roll out both her networks, but this one being Black Hollywood Live and AfterBuzz as well. We, being the tech show, got to be really super techy and geeky nerdy and go and check out all the new latest things. And I think that, there was there's so much to talk about and so much to get into that we just had to, we want to give you a recap of some of it. We shot a bunch of stuff and we talked to a lot of people. What we decided we'd do with it is just, because a lot of it doesn't come out throughout the year, a lot of it is still a ways away from coming out.
Right.
What we decided to do is, each week when we have a topic that relates to one of those things, we'll pull up one of the clips that we shot, one of the interesting people that we talked to, and do it that way. So we shot a bunch of evergreen stuff that we'll pepper throughout the year and through the weeks to come. But we will start with, we will give our impressions. I just want to give some general impressions and thoughts.
Man, CES was dope to me, man. We've done the trade show thing together many times. We've done Comic-Con. We've done, a lot of those type of things. So CES is kind of like a beast. Like, all the new technology, new products, is really, really informative. A lot of smart people. And just seeing, the cool shit that's out, that's coming out, that's in the future. If you're a nerd and geek, it's the place to be. If you haven't experienced CES, you definitely have to, mark your calendar for next year and get down there, because it's a lot of crazy stuff down there that you wouldn't even imagine that's coming through.
Absolutely.
And so as the technology improves and advances, we're only going to see even more and more amazing things.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, if you're listening to the show, you probably know, but CES is the Consumer Electronics Show. It's been going on for about, I believe, over 30 years in Las Vegas. It started out as a trade show where people will come and show their new consumer wares. Back in the day, it was, transistor radios, and then it was, the first Atari 2600, and it was this and that and the other. Now it's everything. Everyone.
A to Z.
And now it's gotten really, really big and really wonderful. And the thing about what's cool about it is it's in 2014, it's this convergence of consumer electronics, which are all everything from washing machines to, 3D printers, and then you have a bunch of celebrities there who want to come in and as a meeting place to sort of not only talk about what they've done, but just to see things themselves. So we saw Shaq, and we saw 50 Cent, and we saw a lot of black folks, and a lot of everyone.
It's a good convergence of technology, popular culture, brands, all in the under the same roof, interfacing, interacting. I think that's what makes it cool, because you think that it might just be completely nerded out, but it still has a cool factor. It has an edge to it.
And it's for us. It's really, some people argue that it's just a big press event, but it's really for the consumers. It's for people to be able to show the world what's coming out. Now, arguably, the stuff that's there, a lot of it, I would say 50 to 60% of it, all trade shows, is stuff that's really still on the drawing board, still conceptual, still ways away, concept driven. And then another, the other 20 50%, let's say, is stuff that's imminent, like, okay, this is coming out in 2014.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just kind of like them just showing their whole catalog and of things they have. The other thing that happens here at CES every year is, which was interesting this year, is you had people giving keynotes. You had the CEO of Sony giving a keynote. You have Twitter giving keynotes. You have Yahoo giving keynotes. And that was kind of an interesting thing because Twitter and Yahoo aren't exactly in the consumer electronics business, but they were there at CES giving keynotes. And the reason being is because we're talking about a situation where these guys are now content creators. Yeah. And to have that content, they do their content on these things, smartphones, devices, and there's tons of devices to be able to do that. So there's a lot of conversation about what the next 3 to 5 years will look like with Twitter and Yahoo and some of these other folks like creating content for these great devices that we saw.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But so I want to ask you, Achilles Shine. What are the top? What are your highlights, man? What are the top 5? Then count down your top. You give your top 5. I'll give my top 5.
Cool.
Okay, go.
Like, I mean, just to say again, it was a lot of shit there. You know, a lot of things to interact with and see. So it was kind of hard for me to condense the top 5. But I would say for me, the television side this year was really heavy. Like in my top 5, probably 3 different television products that I would like to showcase. One being Samsung, the dual TV. Where you can, it's a 3D TV where you throw on 3D glasses and you can watch 2 images on the TV at the same time. So if you and your lady in the same room and she wants to watch like a soap opera or a reality TV show, you want to watch the sports game that's on, you guys could be in the same room on the couch at the same time watching what you want to watch, watching what she wants to watch. Right. And that's fucking amazing to me. And then you could switch by pressing, these 3D glasses to whatever channel you want, and the image is 3D, and you're watching what you want. And you don't have to leave the room. You don't have to hey, TiVo it or record it. Like you could do it in real time.
This is something that I saw that, it actually technically debuted last year, right? But it was something that was here, and it just our brains exploded watching this because it's something that is like, I don't even, we had to explain to us in very technical terms. We had to explain to us in very plain terms. And I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy. I still don't understand what the fuck was going on. I have no idea what happened.
It was amazing, man.
But yeah, the glasses, I'm wearing glasses, you're wearing glasses. We're watching the same thing. We're watching HD, 1080p, 3D, like at the same time, it's crystal clear. That's something that, and it requires glasses to do. And each glass has a built-in headphone, so you can listen separately. Right. But it seems very, very gimmicky, but also very practical at the same time.
I mean, I see the practicality of it because I find myself in situations when I'm with my girl and she wants to watch something that I completely give a fuck about. Right. I don't care about it. Like I don't want to watch it. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. And so I want to watch sports. I want to watch whatever. And I don't want to have to be in a certain space.
Real Housewives,
it's
leaks.
Exactly. It's getting the best of both worlds. She gets what she wants. I get what I want, and we're chilling together. So
cool. What else?
Samsung also had the curvable TV, which was really, really cool. Yeah. And so those, you should expect to see those coming out this year, 2014. And essentially, the curvable TV is mimicking what you would see when you go to a movie theater. So the theater screen is curved, so it gives you more of a cinematic experience. Yep. Like the colors are drawn out, the precision is drawn out, and the TV looks cool. It's fresh to death, and it's a pretty hefty price tag for it too. But that was a really big thing for CES. LG's coming out with one, and then Samsung. So
they unveiled what they're calling their UHD technology, which is everyone's talking about 4K, 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 which we may or may not get into, but what Samsung's decidedly as a marketing thing going away from calling their TV 4K TVs, they're calling it something that's called UHD, Ultra HD, which is phenomenal. It's still you still get the same amount of resolution, but what they're doing is they add some other things that enable you to get the darker darks and the brighter brights. One of the things they do with the curved TV, and they have them as big as 105 inches, which was a beautiful television that's way out of everyone's price range. But with this curvable TV, like you said, it gives you this, it envelops you almost, and it gives you this more experiential thing. But what's cool about it is that you can walk right up to the TV and see no degradation. You see no pixels. You can go to the side of the TV and there's no shading and anything like that, because no matter where you are, where you move, the picture is sharp and crystal clear.
And that's because of all the pixels with the 4K. Any 4K TV is like that now. Right. So, but I think the thing with the curvable TVs is like what we both said. It's just a cinematic experience.
Right.
Like it really makes you feel like you're enclosed. Like the image is right there in front of you.
And we were both like, why is it? We don't understand what the big deal is. And we watched
Right.
it for a while. We're like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then they also have, which is super gimmicky. All this stuff is gimmicky, but look, I love gimmicks. I'm a sucker, but I'll admit it. But one of the things they also had was they had the curvable, the one that's like all of them come curved. They have
Right.
one that you can press a button
And it goes back to regular.
flat.
Yeah.
And then you press a button and it goes curved. So
Yeah.
you can actually have the best of both worlds.
You can alternate, what you
Alternate
want.
between flat if you want. If it's a sports thing and you just want a flat screen to look at. If it's a movie, you want to curve it up on one
Right.
touch of the remote. So doing some crazy things over at Samsung. But
Both
I
things
like
was
that.
really cool.
What
So
else?
really quickly, the Pebble Watch. There's a lot of wearable technologies at CES, and for me, the Pebble Watch was really dope. You're able to get notifications, sent from your phone straight to your watch. So if you want sports scores, if you want, text messages, email, it goes straight to the watch.
Yep.
And what's cool about the Pebble Watch is that it doesn't look too like too futuristic. It still has like a classic look to it. You could customize it. It has like nice metals, and so it gives you the sophistication of like a nice watch, but the technology is integrated into it. And then the Mophie Space Pack, which is very useful for guys like us that travel and are out and about. Pretty much it's a charging phone case. It's a battery pack, and you're able to have built-in storage, 16 to 32 gigs of additional storage to your iPhone.
Now that's great.
So like if you want to take photos or video, it doesn't store it on the iPhone. It stores it on like this external hard drive, which is connected to your iPhone.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool. And then lastly, to me, this is the top dog for me. Man, Sony 4K Ultra Shot Thrower Projector. Like this is a concept thing. Like it was one of the most mind-blowing devices that I saw at CES. And essentially it's a projector that lays on the floor, and it fires an image upward onto a wall, a plain wall. And so the image dimension is 150 inches, but the image that you see on the wall is like if you're looking at a regular 4K TV. It's crisp, it's sharp, it's colorful, but it's just a white wall with a projected image. And that thing to me was just amazing. And the price tag for that, you remember how much that was?
I do not.
150,000,
Okay,
bruh.
something, I blacked out at the fifth zero. I blacked
150.
out, but it's 6 zeros. Yeah. Well, that was that's incredible. That's on my list too. I was just to go back real quick. Yeah, because I'm gonna talk about that as well. But just to go back, the Morphe thing was also dope. I love that thing because we talk about the charging. Everybody knows about the charger, but didn't add the extra added thing of extra storage to the case.
Absolutely.
Like they're really doing some stuff.
It's useful. It's super useful.
Yeah, and they're good looking too. A lot of these things look like crap, and it's not super bulky, and it's just a great product. So I love that one. My top five.
Talk to me, man. What you got?
Well, we have some overlap here, but my top five. Well, I did love the 3D printers. We talked about how wearables were a big thing in CES, and wearables were everywhere. The other big thing in CES was 3D printers, and the 3D printing thing has gotten to a point where it is for the consumer now. They've got these things that are actually some printers are like low four figures, like things that you can just have and be printing shit.
They have the micro 3D printers now,
right? Yeah. Exactly. But there's just applications for printers, these 3D printers that I haven't even thought about. Like the big one I saw were with the chocolate printer.
That's crazy.
So you're printing like you want this cup, we'll print it up for you, then you can eat it. So it's like really intricate things they're doing with the chocolate printer. Crazy figurines and all the stuff we knew. I saw a full drum kit printed, 3D printed.
A drum kit 3D printer.
So yeah, it was just a bunch of stuff that like I thought, the applications and the implications for what's possible with 3D printing are limitless. And and what they're doing now. And we're just at the beginning of this technology, so it's really interesting. And also the materials. People were really, the big thing here, people were really messing with the materials.
There's no limit to it.
Yeah, because
no limitations.
Dudes printing stuff with Play-Doh, chocolate, like so. It'll be really interesting to see.
But
how
like
this
you said,
develops.
all the materials that you're able to use and the precision that you could use to print and develop anything.
Yeah,
like a life-size Joe chocolate bar.
Hey, ladies, I know you've been waiting for it, ladies. No, but yeah, it's possible. So the other thing I love. So then I got to go with my folks over at Beam, the company called Beam, which essentially makes these they're essentially like almost drones or robots, if you will. And what they are it's probably about a 5 foot tall, looks like a what do you call those things that you I can never
Segway?
Yes, looks like a little bit like a Segway, 5 foot tall. It's got a big screen, and on the screen is a face, and at the other end of that face is a person who is wherever. In this case, they were in Palo Alto.
Right.
So I'm sitting there in Las Vegas, and then this robot, the big face comes to me with a very attractive girl. Hi, starts talking to me, and I was, what is this? And she's like, I'm in Palo Alto. This is our new technology. This is how it works. She's controlling it with the basic arrow keys on her phone. She sees everything. She can look down at my feet and see where I'm going. Follow me around. It's useful for, like, you know, obviously for school applications and teaching hospitals, doctors, meetings, tours. You can tour a facility with this thing. It was really on some next level feature stuff. Now, it didn't have arms and everything else, but just the fact that this thing can go up to 20 miles an hour,
right?
And you know, so it can move.
It has movement. It communicates. Like that's great.
So that was really impressive. They're doing some great things out of Palo Alto, and then. You know, there's a company called 360 Fly, which we didn't talk about, which is basically a camera company that does like a GoPro situation. They're trying to give an answer to the GoPro. Yeah. And we know what GoPro does, and GoPro's this, you know, great HD camera, and you can take it anywhere in extreme sports and extreme weather, usually with a fisheye sort of situation. Well, Fly 360 has developed technology where they take a 360-degree picture, and it's like a ball. Yeah. And what it is the camera's rolling 360 degrees everywhere, real time, same thing. So this is something you're able to like throw up in the air, throw around.
Yeah. What's dope about this camera that you have multiple lenses on the on the body of the camera, and that it stitches the images in real time.
Yes.
So that you're able to get that 360-degree
That's how it works. And that's kind of what their proprietary business is. Their proprietary business is they've developed a software that stitches these images together in real time. But it is remarkable. It's something that's really cool, and you can take. It's going to really sort of change the game in terms of I think everywhere how we view with sports and extreme sports, and
for sure,
it's like taking what the GoPro does to a whole other level.
Because it's all about perspective. Right. Like usually with the GoPro or a typical camera, you're getting like a one-shot perspective.
Yep.
Versus with this camera, like you might be looking north and you can still see what's happening behind you.
Yeah.
That's very inventive.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then the last two things I just love is. You know, you mentioned the Sony projector. Yeah, Sony's. These lots of things are both Sony, which is really crazy for me because I've not been like, you know, Sony. I was like, yeah, Sony. You know, I've been a Samsung guy, but Sony really stepped up their game.
Sony was killing.
They were killing. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into the sort of the house of the future we saw because a lot of that stuff was sort of concept. Yeah. But that 3D projector, which is like you mentioned, from a laser, from a floor, they're able to throw a precision 4K image onto anything with extreme brightness. So you don't have to worry about the room being dark. It's bright, and it comes from a laser on the floor, and you can throw it against anything. Now, if you do have a great white wall, great. If you have a screen, even better. If it's nighttime, fantastic. But guess what? If it's daytime in the office and you want to throw it against the wall, it looks fantastic. And that's technology that
thing was amazing, beautiful. Man. That was amazing.
Last thing is the Sony 4K TV. Now, we talk about all the 4K TVs and all the things, and then we saw them all, Samsungs and then LGs and everyone. They're all fantastic. But I gotta say, Sony has one that's coming out next year, which literally blew my mind. Like what I saw, the demos they had with the carnival, they had a carnival demo, and they had a smoky
jazz club room,
demo where you can't tell the difference between the bevel on TV and the darkness on the screen, and you see people's eyeballs and smoke, and then you see a bright red, and just the details
so much information in the whites and the blacks, like
so much information. Like and then the carnival one, which is like a big, huge carnival scene in Brazil with, as you can imagine, every color in the rainbow and a giant thing.
Vibrant
colors. And, it made me realize that, you were talking about that level, you're really getting into what the human eye can do.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about this is why I realized it was so dynamic is I would go on a limb and say, what I was watching is what is brighter than what I would see out on the street.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, it occurred to me, like, why is this freaking me out so much? Because I'm looking at something that my eye can't replicate.
Yeah, the human eye doesn't have the same dynamic range as some of these cameras nowadays.
Right.
So what the cameras are capturing is an image, and then what is being displayed on the television, like the human eye cannot capture that through our anatomy. Like we can see it, displayed, but in real time, real life, we can't capture that.
So what the TV is able to do is be able to, like, give the information on those brights and give the information on those darks and then blend them together seamlessly to where I'm looking way off in the distance. I'm looking at the TV, like with my eye to the TV, I see one guy way, probably about a mile away. I see what he's wearing. He's waving a little Brazilian flag. He's in the background. In the foreground, I see a girl dancing. I see sweat on her brow.
Yeah.
I
You
see
the
colors.
pores in their skin.
I've never, ever seen an image that looked like that. So that was, so shout to Sony, who's definitely doing the thing on that. But yeah, that was it, man. CES was incredible, and we also, we spent a little time with some of our folks. We spent a little time with Maria and Nick, and we talked to Maria, who was the CES ambassador, asked her what she saw and what she liked and everything else. And I think we have a clip from that. We're going to roll in so we can listen and watch if you're watching us on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, I loved everything. I've geeked out on every little gadget here, whether it was the remote control drones, the bendable TVs, the sensor technologies for cars, the apps where you can text your appliances to tell them to do your laundry. Now, if I could just get the robot to put the laundry in, I'd be good. But yeah, it's been so exciting. And then obviously being here with AfterBuzz and BHL, and that's been exciting. And I still have so much more ground to cover. There's 1.9 million square feet of technology here. And it's overwhelming, but super exciting.
Yeah, it was good to sit with Maria and get her takes on, CES, being that she was the ambassador.
Yep.
And I just want to add this note too. It was a really good experience, like meeting some of the BHL family. We had a booth at CES, and just being able to build those relationships and get to know some of the family here a little better. So
yeah, it was definitely a little bit of it was a bonding situation for us. It was also a little of a soft coming out party for BHL as a network,
for sure,
as well as all of our individual shows. Which, please, obviously, if you found us, you may have found us on iTunes. And if you found us on iTunes, thank you very much. Thank you for downloading. Continue to download us, rate us. You can help us find other people find us if you like what you're hearing. But if you also may be finding us on BHL, the network which we are occupy. Black Hollywood Live, which is a wonderful network started by Maria and Kevin and Garo and Daryl. And there's a lot of great shows. You should check them out. I mean, there's a show for everybody, everything from entertainment to law to relationships to music, sports and comedy, and so everything. So shout out to the whole BHL family and Maria and everything else we were able to do there. So one of the other things, we saw there, amongst all, we talked about all the celebrities we saw. We ran into Nick Cannon.
We did.
Who is already, Mr. Entrepreneur, host, stand-up comic.
Yeah, Nick Cannon is very diverse. He's into a lot of things, like from music to film to TV, everything you just mentioned. And he was there. He's been going to see us for a few years with his headphones, with his monster headphones. But now, this year, he was unveiling his new tablet, the incredible tablet.
Yeah, which is what we'll talk about in a second. But I think we have a clip from us talking to Nick, too.
Obviously, here at CES, this is where we all kind of just come and geek out because there's so many things on the horizon in the world of technology. But also, I bring the entrepreneur, as I call it, with me as well because I have my new product, my incredible tablet. And it's kind of cool because I'm a content provider. So not only will you be able to get content, but I also can provide the device that you watch the content on. So I'm excited about this.
Super big.
Yeah. So this tablet it's not only like I said, it's his stuff. It's got its own proprietary sort of like not really operating system, but network, sort of how the incredible network, which it comes loaded with like 2 or 3 apps that are his sort of apps. It's got a lot of cool things you can come in as and if you want to sort of show your talent, you can record yourself doing whatever your talent is and send it to Nick, who
he's creating like an A&R opportunity for the audience to be able to showcase their talent if they're a filmmaker, if they're a musician, if they're a dancer, and to be able to upload that to a community of people that then Nick can decide hey, I like this, or the community can vote on it itself, and that can elevate that artist to a different level. And so I think what Nick is doing is innovative. That he is converging software with the hardware, his own content with his audience. Like he's really building a community and using the technology. And one thing that he said that was to me very pivotal and aspirational is that a lot of guys are trying to build like a network in the traditional sense, like a traditional broadcast network. And his point was, I want to have the screens where the young generation has their ears and eyeballs to, and that is the phones and the tablets. And I think it's a great strategy for Nick with this price point of the product. It makes it affordable for families that have teenagers and kids where they can't maybe afford like the iPads of the world.
Yep.
So I think Nick is a smart business person. And just a geek like us, man.
Well, and it was a self-admitted geek like us. And by the way, that full interview, the entire interview is up on the BHL side if you want to check out the full thing. Nick's great. But yeah, the price point. These things are expensive, so he made it a really low price point. I think it's under $200. It's got front-facing speakers and all this cool stuff too. So
a flash for your camera.
Flash for your camera, which doesn't have an iPad. So really smart, cool things he's doing, and it runs on I think it's running on the not the iOS, but it's running on the Android.
Android,
yeah. So that's great. So good to Nick, and so that was CES, man. I mean, like I said, we'll have over the coming weeks we'll throw in some more stuff and we'll talk about some more things regarding CES. But that's at a great time. And,
super time.
Yeah, we've got some drinks too, and
we did our thing.
Some good food, a lot of nerd stuff. So let's shift gears here. Let's talk about what's happening now, or kind of like last week. We do like our stories that sort of broke the internet. We got to go and talk about some of this stuff. Obviously, we want to get into this whole Richard Sherman thing now. It's old news at this point, but we want to just weigh in on it briefly because it works for us here because it's sort of this convergence of sports, race and culture, and also of technology. So it's this convergence of these three things that sort of happen to explode the internet as usual. And full disclosure, I'm a 49er fan. So I was
sorry about that, bro.
I was heartbroken, but
you were.
Just a quick recap for those of you who are living under a rock and do not know anything that happened. Richard Sherman made a spectacular game-ending play, a touchdown-saving play to send them to the Super Bowl. He is largely regarded as one of the best cornerbacks in the game. He's turned up. He was pumped up. He did a post interview with Aaron Andrews, in which he asked him a question, and he kind of went off. He went off in a way that was loud and said, don't ever say I'm not the best. Who cares? Everybody's a punk. A lot of stuff.
It was a display of bravado and a display of grit.
Yeah, he was just turned up. I don't know. So he did his thing. He yelled and screamed. That had a dramatic, immediate reaction on Twitter immediately.
It was jolting.
And then began to turn into something else into the evening, and then the next day,
and days thereafter,
and days thereafter, and then it kind of like turned. There was a backlash, and then as my other boss Bill Simmons says, there was a backlash to the backlash. So I want to talk about this whole thing. So I mean,
I have a lot of takes on this, man.
We all go ahead.
I mean, number one, he's an athlete. He's in the arena. He's in the Coliseum of playing, a sport. So he's pumped up. He's hyped. It's a gladiator sport. So
sure.
I mean, he just got to the highest point of his career thus far. He's going to the Super Bowl, and he made a killer play. So I don't find anything wrong with what he said. I think there should be some degree of trash talking in sports. You're going to find that period in sports. You're going to find it. And the thing that I do have a problem with is that the media and a lot of the world is labeling him as a thug. Because he's being vocal, because he's being aggressive, because he's speaking up. And I think historically, America, as it relates to black men, sports, entertainers, want to keep us communicating in the master narrative. And what I mean by that is that it's like a script that we have to kind of recite. When an athlete, gets interviewed, you could pretty much bet he's going to say the pretty much the same bullet points that the previous 10 athletes before him said.
Right.
And so I feel like we are human. We have emotions. We have thoughts. We are more than just robots with helmets and pads on. We're not just going to recite, that narrative. I want to see more athletes that have that Ali flair. I want to see more athletes that have that are vocal and that have an opinion and that aren't afraid to express their emotions. That makes me more connected to them as a human.
Sure.
I don't want the robotic, hey, the game was good. Shout out to my team. Good game. That's cool. But give me some personality. And I think that's what he did. He showed the bravery to do that, to communicate. and like people took it too far, calling him a thug. Like he's very intelligent. He was a broadcast major at Stanford. Like he knows how to communicate.
I mean, he's
like,
a couple. He's almost got his master's. Actually,
Yeah.
he's not
Like,
just
dude
an
is
athlete who
smart.
didn't, yeah.
So like labeling him that is just ridiculous, and it's just reinforcing the stereotype that America likes to put on black men,
Right.
like, and especially black men that are vocal. And we don't find that many black men that are vocal in the media. We don't.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. So yeah, I agree with everything you said. Obviously, I think that like the issue. There's just a lot of issues and a lot of playing. So I like that. I feel like the internet jumped out on the internet did a thing where like it jumped out on this, like there was a reaction, right? Like, oh my God, look what he did. And then it was like a reaction to his reaction, like, well, what does this mean? He's a this, he's a that. There was a name calling. And then there was a reaction to people reacting like that. And then everyone kind of calmed down. There was a lot of think pieces on the internet about like,
Right.
whoa, this is what we just did as a society. This guy's got a master's at Stanford. Everybody relax, and there were some really funny memes and some things that came around. It's all humorous and whatever. But the thing is, the central piece of this is that it's the Erin Andrews factor, right? So
Yep.
Erin Andrews is a lovely sideline reporter and also anchor at Fox, and formerly of ESPN, who is blonde and is pretty much sort of like the personification of what, Miss America, whatever it was in some people's minds. She's this blonde. So you have the blonde, sweet Erin Andrews juxtaposed against Richard Sherman, who's got the dreads and the beard, and he's yelling and screaming. So, and she's smaller and she's small, and she's asking the question, and he yells and screams. And I think the image of him yelling and screaming and acting a fool next to Erin Andrews and the look on her face is what America reacted to. And that's where the initial things were like, poor Erin Andrews, he's gonna get her. Like, oh, and there's one woman from Fox who's tweeted like, Erin Andrews looks scared, and I don't blame him. I don't blame her. And it's like, there's a lot of that. And so then like you said, what happened is, within the next, I don't know, I think it was in the next hour, the word thug was used like something like 800 times to describe Richard Sherman.
That's insane.
Within an hour. Like,
That's insane.
It was like this thug. He's like, and the whole thing is then it was like he's bullying Erin Andrews. And then it's like these athletes are this, that, and the other. These guys. Then it was like, of course, it got ugly. There's a bunch of monkeys, and there was a bunch of talking monkeys, and there was a bunch of all this other stuff, and it was like everybody calm down.
It pisses me off, man, because again, like, I just want to hit this point again. Like
Yes.
black men in this country, like, let's take it out of the sports arena, right? Black men who are vocal in this country usually are marginalized, polarized,
Sure.
jailed,
Sure.
or killed.
Right.
And so, like, I feel like if you just go off what he said, like, it's not that big of a deal.
Nope.
He's just coming with force, with energy.
Yeah.
He's human. Like,
Right.
let him speak. He didn't say anything that was disrespectful, in my opinion.
Nope.
Like, I mean, everything he said, he backed up on the field, and he's
Sure.
talking about sports.
Sure.
He's on the field still.
Yep.
So, like he has every right.
Completely contextual.
Yeah, he has every right to be emotional. He just won the game that's going to take him to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, he should be excited.
I mean, and he should be. So this just to go over this, my takes are obviously, look, we do live in a world. Why this was such a story is because we're all surprised. Black folks and white folks alike were surprised at the reaction that even black folks had. There's a lot of black folks who are like, oh, he needs to calm down. This fool is like acting la la la. I think somebody tweeted, I forget which athlete tweeted, he just set us back 500 years. So people there was a reaction, and then everyone kind of calmed down. But I think the thing is this: look, in sports, we love outspoken folks. We love Charles Barkley. We love people with takes who are gonna be able to be outspoken. So this isn't a new thing of people acting a fool and being whatever within the arena of sports. Any pregame, postgame, Fox, ESPN, NFL Network show, you're gonna have a bunch of folks, black and white, acting a fool, very jocular, doing their thing, right?
course.
This is sports. Second of all, you watch just watch one episode of Hard Knocks at HBO. You'll see black, white coaches, everybody yelling, screaming, cursing. Da, da, da. This is the culture of the game that Erin Andrews is covering.
Exactly.
This is the culture of the game that we all love and embrace in America. And it's in our living rooms. And this is a violent, crazy game that it takes a lot of adrenaline to do. And he just made the play of his life, and he was just pumped up.
Yeah.
He's pumped up. And so I think that, I think Erin Andrews, to her credit, I mean, this was to Aaron Andrews' credit. This was never anything that she did or said.
Absolutely
it was just
not.
the image of her with a look on her face that I think really like freaked people out. Like everyone put all these things on Aaron Andrews. Like Aaron's so scared. He's gonna like. Aaron thought he's gonna tackle her. And no, dude, you know. So anyway, it's ridiculous. So what upsets me about the whole thing is obviously that I think that there's been a lot of, like I said, there's been a lot of think pieces after the fact of everyone sort of saying, like, this is what happened, and everyone sort of apologized, and we all overreacted, and blah 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 blah. But it's important to know that, like, this is like Don Corleone said, this is the business we've chosen. This is the game that they were chosen. This is the game we're watching. This is a game they're covering. Guess what? Football players get pumped up, and football players are this culturally.
It's
black
a
folks, white folks. It's a gladiator sport. when you guys just made a play like that to go to the Super Bowl in that arena, the 12th man.
This is not golf.
He's gonna run up. He's gonna be like, "Oh, well, actually made a fantastic play." And
Exactly.
Crabtree's a great player, and I think Peyton Manning may do that, but everyone's not Peyton
Because
Manning.
that's the narrative. That's the script that all athletes are supposed to say.
Right. So whatever. So Twitter blew it up, and then Twitter calmed it down, and then now it's kind of like it's where it is. But it was just an interesting debate and comment, and sort of where we all are in race, in sports, and in how technology
Comes into play.
played a part in sort of really blowing up a story. The one thing I didn't like is that I understand why he did it, but Richard Sherman did come out and issue an apology, and it just made me feel like I don't know what he had to apologize about.
No,
I apologize for scaring you in your living room, America.
His apology, from my understanding, was that it took attention away from his team.
Yes.
And so him again being a gladiator with a team, like he's showing respect to his teammates, his organization, and he didn't want his comments or his excitement to be so polarizing that it distracted from their success.
And let's face it, that was a heartbreaking play for me, but it was a hell of a play.
Hell of a play.
That play was a touchdown, and it was perfectly timed. And anyway. So that's that. All right. So enough on that. So let's get back into the nerd world and talk about my man Quentin Tarantino, who got a lot of attention. Always gets a lot of attention. Got a lot of attention last year. For Django and for we talking about convergence of race and culture and everything else. It's a very polarizing movie, and for a lot of reasons. And we love it. And Quentin Tarantino is a very polarizing director for a lot of reasons.
Super.
This has nothing to do with really, anything necessarily to have to do with race. This has to do with just, again, this sort of super leak spoiler culture we live in.
Yeah.
Tarantino's announced a while back that he has a new script he's working on, and is indeed, again, another Western.
Yeah.
And I believe it was called The Hateful Eight, which is sort of like, the titles felt like it's like a Magnificent Seven kind of, we're gonna get 5 or 6, 8, well, actually 8 people together and go, do our thing. Whatever it was, The Hateful Eight, I was already in on the title. I love Tarantino. I love his stuff. But apparently his screenplay was leaked.
Yeah.
And it pissed him off so bad that he scrapped or shelved The Hateful Eight as his next project. This is interesting because he says he gave it to 3 actors. I believe it was like Bruce Dern, Michael Madsen, and I forget who the third actor was. One of his old staples. And he says he trusts all of them implicitly, or he did. And the script was out among agents, among everywhere else. And it kind of speaks to this weird spoiler culture. Tarantino is a guy who's a bit of a throwback guy in general. Yeah. I mean, he shoots on. He don't shoot digital. He'll shoot on film. He does. He's a grindhouse, old school grindhouse guy. We know he does all these things. He writes the script out longhand. He's not a big technology guy at all. Cell phones are not allowed on any of his sets. So. But this is a situation where he lived in a world, he came up in a world in the early 90s, 80s and early 90s where this wasn't an issue necessarily. Now, he shares something, digitally or otherwise, and it can go everywhere. Yeah. And so it's an interesting story. But
it's the age we live in, man. I mean, people share things. They pirate things. They reveal things. They steal things. Like, that's the world that we live in. Like, it's morally, morally wrong, to take someone's intellectual property and expose it before that person, profits from it, or for that person makes that choice for themselves. It's morally wrong, but it just is what it is. And like, this has been happening for 20 plus years now. Yep. So, I mean, I understand, his anger, his disappointment. I support his choice by not wanting to, move forward with the film. Right. I think it really just speaks to technology and how it can be used to our advantage and how it can be used to our disadvantage.
Right.
And so,
And what about Tarantino himself? What about the notion of him taking this opportunity to, frankly, just shelve the project? I mean, do you think that's an overreaction, or
Of course.
as a creative, and as a director yourself?
I think Tarantino does things to polarize people, and
Right.
I think this. Well, since
I mean,
I
like,
didn't,
what,
since
six,
I didn't,
six people read the script,
yeah,
and
since
so
I
it's
didn't
over?
drop it, no one can have it. Like,
Right.
it just builds hype around his name, his brand. Like, you know, what I mean? I think it's just a ploy, it's a tactic for him to use to, you know, get people talking about him. Oh, well, we're missing out on the new Tarantino flick because
Right.
somebody fucked up and leaked it.
Right.
And so I think he's gonna use that energy, you know, and direct it to somewhere else.
Right.
So,
Well, that's that. I mean, Terrence. So I'm sorry that I won't get to the Hateful Eight for another probably, you know, now who knows, 5 years.
he said he's gonna turn into a book first. So maybe you get to read it first.
All right. Okay. I'll do that. It's not whatever. So anyway, so that's that. Now we want to talk about. We do something called Welcome to the Future. We've been talking about drones for a long time now, and now I mean, I don't know. We probably won't go at least 2 weeks without being talking about drones because they're hot. But this last week, it's been in the news because the FAA is now sort of they've stepped up. This is a situation we talked about. Well, how are guys like Jeff Bezos and Amazon going to have drones flying around delivering shit? How's this all going to work?
We've come a long way from the Wright brothers.
Yes, we have. We have.
Man.
You know, in drones, you know, they're in politics and Obama, you know, with drones, but now in the public sector with drones, in the private sector. So now the FAA commercially, now the FAA has, you know, they've been quiet about it, but they have really approved testing for how this is going to work, and they've really it's going to spend a lot of money in figuring out how do we let, you know, how are drones going to be able to occupy this airspace? How are they going to be able to police this? So they've taken I think 6 or 7 cities, or states, I should say, like California, Nevada, and in other words, where they're going to be trying out these pilot, no pun intended, or pilotless programs,
Right.
And to really investigate. And to me, this is interesting. We talk all the time, but we're closer. We're closer to drones doing a bunch of shit. I mean, and what you see now is in every, you know, video shoot, now. Even sports, drones are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Drones will be in the Olympics. So NBC's using a bunch of drones. I watched the Jerry Seinfeld Comedians with Cars Doing Coffee. They filmed one at my buddy's shop at Handsome Coffee. Shout out to Handsome Coffee. They filmed one there. They had a drone flying around there, like to get aerials. They're in use now in our business.
Absolutely.
But so what do you think of this? What do you make of this?
I mean, so we have two streams of thought as it relates to this. We have like the militaristic aspect of drones, and then we have the commercial aspect. But overall, I think that drones have more of a destructive element than a useful element, in the sense that drones will be able to, in the future, take a list of directives, a program, and make decisions off them. And I think as technology grows, these drones are going to become more sophisticated, more intelligent, and be able to have their own agency, have their own autonomy, where they fly, what they do, if they're used for militaristic purposes, when they drop a bomb, when they do whatever. And I mean, you got to think that something is unmanned, not piloted by a human, but pretty much a remote control somewhere, you know, going around an area, taking photos or doing whatever. And I just think that if it gets in the wrong hands, it could be used for destructive purposes. I feel it's like right now it's like a pit bull that's a puppy, and you know you train the pit bull to do what you say, and then one day that pit bull is going to break out of your backyard and it's going to get to biting people. It's going to be a menace to society, and that's how I see this technology going. I don't see it being that useful, and like to have the sky filled with these flying devices.
Yeah,
like. I just see it being more destructive than anything.
Yeah, I don't know how this is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a futurist and I love all this stuff too. I still like whatever. I mean, and I'm sure they'll be able to have all these safeguards and they're great and there's all the wonderful things. But I don't know how people don't put weapons on these things. I mean, the number one thing is surveillance. It's gonna have to have built-in surveillance.
Every drone has a camera.
Well, it has multiple cameras because it's gonna have to how are you gonna stop the kid who's gonna be throwing rocks at it? You're gonna be able to nope, that kid threw a rock at me. Like just to protect just to protect the drone itself.
Yeah.
So when it's making a delivery, whatever it's doing, and some kid wants to hit it with a baseball bat, well, guess what? That information is going to be immediately sent to law enforcement, and they will immediately be able to go find that kid and do whatever. That's technology. So if it's using this, if it's to just protect itself, what's to stop it from going on the offensive and doing other things and then surveillance? We're in a world surveillance world.
I think it's a privacy issue because every drone will have cameras, multiple cameras. Like who knows what that drone's doing? Yeah, you could say it's for commercial purposes. It's deliver packages. It's delivering
shit at my house. Who knows what I'm doing? It's delivering my shit.
Exactly. No,
kick it through the window. I might be doing all kind of crazy shit.
And then they have the technology coming, the micro drones, where they'll be the size of insects or the size of birds, and they'll mimic the mechanics of that flight, like how an insect flies or how a bird flies. So you don't even know what it is. It could be an insect, but it's a camera looking at you, spying on you.
Yeah, that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Buckle up. You're not stopping it,
man. That's a beautiful butterfly. Yeah, no, that's not a butterfly.
Yeah, that's where we're going. We just got back from CES, we talked about. That's where we're going. So a lot of drones there too. So anyway, that's interesting. So I don't know. So FAA is doing their thing. We'll be monitoring that, and we'll see how those progress is that. But it's underway. The future's here. The future's here. Speaking of the future, last thing is we want to talk about. We call it robot sex, which is a ridiculous title. Bot sex. This is an article this was the title of the article that really got my attention. That was in the Telegraph out of the UK, and it's something that we've talked about, Singularity, and we talked about a lot of this. But basically, essentially, what this is we're talking about. Robots, mechanisms, and everything that can replicate themselves, right? Yep. So, and that technology is here. We're talking about robots that actually have a job, whether they're microbots, smaller or larger, that frankly will be able to go and do things like whether it's repair cells, repair things, cancer inside of you, or larger build things, or whatever the case may be, but. The difference is with these drones, they're built in a way that they can self-replicate.
Yeah.
So they're going to be able to not only do the job, but also recognize if they need more people to do the job, and then be able to, basically build another drone within themselves. And we talk about the technology, 3D printing, on. So they're going to be able to build another one of those and replicate. And sometimes, in a lot of cases, talk to each other and find out what's the best solution here, and then maybe build something else that'll do another large solution.
That's the thing that's crazy to me, is that the technology is moving to a place where the Internet of Things, which we discussed on this podcast before, where devices, like you said, communicate with each other and say, hey, I need this, I'm missing this, hey, well, let's collaborate and create this.
Sure.
And so that's technology or advancement where the devices come to a point where they have an understanding. They have a way where they can make choices.
Sure.
And so if they can make choices, that means they have a point of view. If they can have a point of view, that means that they can determine something that's for their purpose.
Right.
They can have a agency over their own existence.
Right.
And I think that is crazy. I think that. It could be very useful. Like we talk about, them going to Mars and building civilization for humans if something happened to Earth or whatever.
Right.
But man, that's the flip side of the coin. They could go to Mars and develop a civilization that could kill Earth and kill us.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, there's a talk of we're gonna take a lot of the. This is like, I don't know how this could be good. It makes me laugh, but this is like literally the conversations are being had. We're gonna take a lot of this technology and bots and everything else. We're gonna launch them to Mars, deploy them. Have them start building up some shit, and we'll just see what happens.
We'll just leave them alone for 20 years.
And 20, 30 years.
Touch base in 20 years. We'll touch base
with them. And like, who knows what they'll build cities and, and all kind of crazy stuff.
This is the Matrix, man. Straight up.
It is really, really crazy. And or even there's also talk, of we're taking that same technology and shooting it off into space. Like, we'll take a 10-year, 15-year journey to this one moon, Titan. We'll go to Titan, and in 15, 20 years they'll launch there, and then we'll see what they do. We'll give them another 40, 50 years to develop. They'll replicate themselves. Who knows? Titan will be coming back to attack us in 50, 60 years,
Another point too. So aside from, robot sex or robots, mating with other robots, what about robots mating with humans? And I think that's very plausible too. So you have the android, you have, half human, half robot. And so the technology will allow you, your biology to, be more advanced.
Sure.
And I think that's very plausible as well.
Man.
I feel we'll see a convergence of human DNA with the technologies that are being developed now.
Well, we know that's already all the organic. This is really we're talking about. We've seen the prosthetics that you can use to do your thing. With your mind. We've seen all that stuff. We've seen the organic materials used to print 3D print organs and things like that. So we're definitely headed in that direction.
So what you saying? You gonna fuck a robot?
No, I mean, no comment. No comment. It depends on what she looks like. All right, so we're gonna get out of here on that. That's our show for this week. We're glad to be back. We're very, 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 very happy to be back. We will be back next week with more stuff, more topics, more geek, nerd, and tech, and we'll definitely have a guest in studio next week as well.
Yeah.
Achilles Shine, where can they find you, my brother?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at Achilles Shine. Good to be back. Good to be back.
Yep. And you can find me also at Twitter at Joe K. Braswell and on Instagram at Joe Braswell and a bunch of other places which I won't bother to mention, but you can find me. See you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Gary O'Kristen, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network. If you have questions or comments, tweet us at BHL Online or email us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. For more exclusive content, visit blackhollywoodlive.com. This has been a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network.
Hollywood Redefined.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.